blocking me real quick. I'm on the word. It's hot. Tea hot. Get back in Matthew today. We had on Matthew 5:21 to 48. Matthew 5:21 to 48. February the 24th. Teaching about anger. Teaching about anger. You have heard the law of Moses say. You have heard the law of Moses says, do not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, if you are angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you are in danger of being brought before the high council. And if you curse someone, you are in danger of the fires of hell. But if you are standing before the altar in the temple, offering a sacrifice to God, and you suddenly remember that someone has something against you, leave your sacrifice there beside the altar, go and be reconciled to that person. Then come and offer your sacrifice to God. Come to terms quickly with your enemy before it is too late and you are dragged into court, handed over to an officer and thrown into jail. I assure you that you won't be free again until you have paid the last penny. Teaching about adultery. You have heard that the law of Moses says, do not commit adultery. But I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust in his eyes has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So if your eye, even if it's your good eye, causes you to lust, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your hand, even if it's your stronger hand, causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. Teaching about divorce. You have heard that the law of Moses says, a man can divorce his wife by merely giving her a letter of divorce. But I say that a man who divorces his wife, unless she has been unfaithful, causes her to commit adultery. Anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Teaching about vows. Again, you have heard that the law of Moses says, do not break your vows. You must carry out the vows you have made to the Lord. But I say, don't make any vows. If you say, by heaven, it is a sacred vow because heaven is God's throne. And if you say, by earth, it is a sacred vow because the earth is his footstool. And don't swear by Jerusalem, for Jerusalem is the city of the great king. Don't even swear by my head, for you can't turn one hair white or black. Just say a simple, yes, I will, or no, I won't. Your word is enough to strengthen your promise. With a vow shows that something is wrong. Teaching about revenge. You have heard that the law of Moses says, if an eye is injured, injure the eye of the person who did it. If a tooth gets knocked out, knock out the tooth of a person who did it. But I say, don't resist an evil person. If you are slapped on the right cheek, turn the other cheek too. If you are ordered to court and your shirt is taken from you, give your coat too. If a soldier demands that you carry his gear for a mile, carry it for 2. Give to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow. Teaching about love for enemies. You have heard that the law of Moses says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. In that way, you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he forgives his sunlight to both evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust too. If you love those who love you, what good is that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are kind to only your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. But you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. It's Matthew 5, chapter 21 through 48. Now Exodus 30 and 32. Exodus 30 and 32. Exodus 30 and 32. Plans for the incense altar. Then make a small altar out of acacia wood for burning incense. It must be 18 inches square and 3 feet high, with horns at the corners carved from the same piece of wood as the altar. Overlay the tops, sides, and horns of the altar with pure gold and run a gold molding around the entire altar. Beneath the molding on the opposite sides of the altar, attach 2 gold rings to support the carrying poles. The poles are to be made of acacia wood and overlaid with gold. Place an incense altar just outside the inner curtain opposite the ark's cover, the place of atonement that rests on the ark of the covenant. I will meet you there. Every morning when Aaron trims the lamps, he must burn fragrant incense on the altar. And each evening when he tends to the lamps, he must again burn incense in the Lord's presence. This must be done from generation to generation. Do not offer any unholy incense on the altar, or any burnt offerings, grain offerings, or drink offerings. Once a year, Aaron must purify the offer by placing on its horns the blood from the offering made for the atonement of sin. This will be a regular annual event from generation to generation, for this is the Lord's supreme holy altar. Money for the tabernacle. And the Lord said to Moses, whenever you take a census of the people of Israel, each man who is counted must pay a ransom for himself to the Lord. Then there is no place among the people as you count them. His payment to the Lord will be 1/5 of an ounce of silver. All who have reached their 20th birthday must give this offering to the Lord. When this offering is given to the Lord to make atonement for yourselves, the rich must not give more, and the poor must not give less. Use this money for the care of the tabernacle. It will bring you, the Israelites, to the Lord's attention, and it will make atonement for your lives. Plans for the wash basin. And the Lord said to Moses, make a large bronze wash basin with bronze pedestal. Put it between the tabernacle and the altar and fill it with water. Aaron and his sons will wash their hands and feet there before they go into the tabernacle to appear before the Lord, and before they approach the altar to burn offerings to the Lord. They must always wash before ministering in these ways, or they will die. This is a permanent law for Aaron and his descendants, to be kept from generation to generation. Then the Lord said to Moses, collect choice spices, 12.5 pounds of myrrh, 6.25 pounds of each, cinnamon and sweet cane, 12.5 pounds of cassia, and 1 gallon of olive oil. Blend these ingredients into a holy anointing oil. Use the scented oil to anoint the tabernacle, the ark of the covenant, the table and all its utensils, the lampstand and all its accessories, the incense altar, the altar of the burnt offerings and all its utensils, and the large wash basin with its pedestal. Sanctify them to make them entirely holy. After this, whatever touches them will become holy. Use this oil to anoint Aaron and his sons. Sanctify them so they can minister before me as priests. And say to the people of Israel, this will always be my holy anointing oil. It must never be poured on the body of an ordinary person, and you must never make any of it for yourselves. It is holy, and you must treat it as holy. Anyone who blends scented oils like it, or puts any of it on someone, who is not a priest will be cut off from the community. Incense. These were the Lord's instructions to Moses concerning the incense. Gather sweet spices, resin droplets, musk incense, galbanum, and frankincense, weighing out the same amounts of each. Using the usual technique of an incense maker, refine it to produce a purely and holy incense. Beat some of it very fine, and put some of it in front of the Ark of the Covenant, where I will meet with you in the tabernacle. This incense must be holy. Never make this incense for yourself. It is reserved for the Lord, and you must treat it as holy. Those who make it for their own enjoyment will be cut off from the community. Craftsmen, Exodus 31. Craftsmen, Bezalel and Oholiab. The Lord also said to Moses, Look, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, grandson of Ur, in the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God, giving him great wisdom, intelligence, and skill in all kinds of crafts. He is able to create beautiful objects from gold, silver, and bronze. He is skilled in cutting and setting gemstones and carving out wood. Yes, he is a master of every craft. Hold on. Boop. All right, dog.
All right.
All right, I'll catch you later on, bro.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Gotta go to a wake and, oh man, then I gotta go teach some kids stick.
Okay, I'll see you later on.
All right, I'll see y'all later on tonight. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Dog, you back. And yes, I have appointed Oholiab, son of Ashimach, of the tribe of Dan, to be his assistant. Moreover, I have given special skills to all the naturally talented craftsmen so they can make all the things I have instructed you to make. The tabernacle itself, the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark's cover, the place of atonement, all the furnishing of the tabernacle, the table and all its utensils, the gold lampstand and all its accessories with the incense altar, the altar of burnt offerings, with all its utensils, the wash basins, and its pedestal, the beautifully stitched holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments for his sons to wear as they minister as priests, the anointing oil, and the special incense for the holy place. They must follow exactly all the instructions that I have given you. Instructions for the Sabbath. The Lord then gave this further instruction to Moses. Tell the people of Israel to keep my Sabbath day, for the Sabbath is the sign of the covenant between me and you forever. It helps you to remember that I am the Lord who makes you holy. Yes, keep the Sabbath day, for it is holy. Anyone who desecrates it must die. Anyone who works on that day must be cut off from the community. Work 6 days only, but the seventh day must be a day of total rest. I repeat, because the Lord considered it a holy day, anyone who works on the Sabbath must be put to death. The people of Israel must keep the Sabbath day forever. It is a permanent sign of my covenant with them. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, but he rested on the seventh day and was refreshed. Then as the Lord finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him 2 stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant, written by the finger of God. The calf of gold, Exodus 32. When Moses failed to come back down the mountain right away, the people went to Aaron. Look, they said, make us some gods who can lead us. This man Moses, who has brought us here from Egypt, has disappeared. We don't know what has happened to him. So Aaron said, tell your wives and sons and daughters to take off their gold earrings and bring them to me. All the people obeyed Aaron and brought him their gold earrings. Then Aaron took the gold, melted it down, and molded it and tooled it into the shape of a calf. The people exclaimed, O Israel, these are the gods who brought you out of Israel. out of Egypt. When Aaron saw how excited the people were about it, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the people got up early the next morning to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. After this, they celebrated with feasting and drinking and indulged themselves in pagan revelry. Then the Lord told Moses, "Quick, go down the mountain. The people you brought from Egypt have defiled themselves. They have already turned from the way I commanded them to live. They have made an idol shaped like a calf, and they have worshipped and sacrificed to it. They are saying, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of Egypt.'" Then the Lord said, "I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. Now leave me alone so my anger can blaze against them and destroy them all. Then I will make you, Moses, into a great nation instead of them." But Moses pleaded with the Lord not to do it. "O Lord," he exclaimed, "why are you so angry with your own people whom you brought out of Egypt, the land of Egypt, with such great power and mighty acts?" The Egyptians would say, "God tricked them into coming into the mountain so he could kill them and wipe them from the face of the earth." Turn away from your fierce anger. Change your mind about this terrible disaster you are planning against your people. Remember your covenant with your servant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You swore by your own self, "I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars of heaven. Yes, I will give them all the land that I have promised to your descendants as they will possess it forever." So the Lord withdrew his threat and didn't bring disaster against the people. So the Lord withdrew his threat and didn't bring against his people the disaster he threatens. Then Moses turned and went down to the mountain. He held in his hands the 2 stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. They were inscribed on both sides, front and back. These stone tablets were God's work. The words on them were written by God himself. When Joshua heard the noise of the people shouting below them, he exclaimed to Moses, "It sounds as if there are war in the camp." But Moses replied, "No, it's neither a cry of victory nor a cry of defeat. It is the sound of celebration." When they came near the camp, Moses saw a calf and the dancing. In terrible anger, he threw down the stone tablets to the ground, smashing them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf that they had made and melted it in the fire. And when the metal had cooled, he ground it into powder and mixed it with water. Then he made the people drink it. After that, he turned to Aaron. What did the people do to you?" he demanded. "How did they ever make you bring such terrible sin upon them?" "Don't get upset, sir," Aaron replied. You yourself know these people and what a wicked bunch they are. They said to me, 'Make us some gods and lead us. For something has happened to this man Moses, who led us out of Egypt.' So I told them, 'Bring me your gold earrings.' When they brought them to me, I threw them in the fire, and out came this calf." When Moses saw that Aaron had let the people get completely out of control, and much to the amusement of their enemies, he stood at the entrance of the camp and shouted, "All of you who are on the Lord's side, come over here and join me." And all the Levites came. He told them, "This is what the Lord said, the God of Israel says, strapped on your words, go back and forth from one end of the camp to the other, killing even your brother's friends and neighbors." The Levites obeyed Moses, and about 3,000 people died that day. Then Moses told the Levites, "Today you have been ordained for the service of the Lord, for you obeyed him even though it meant killing your own sons and brothers. Because of this, he will now give you a great blessing." Moses intercedes for Israel. The next day Moses said to the people, "You have committed a terrible sin, but I will return to the Lord on the mountain. Perhaps I will be able to obtain forgiveness for you." So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Alas, these people have committed a terrible sin. They have made gods out of gold for themselves. But now, please forgive their sin, and if not, then blot me out of the record you are keeping." The Lord replied to Moses, "I will blot out whoever has sinned against me. Now go and lead the people to the place I have told you about. Look, my angels will lead the way before you. But when I call the people to account, I will certainly punish them for their sins." And the Lord sent a great plague among the people that had worshipped the calf Aaron had made. That was Exodus 30 to 32. Finishing up with Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14. A wise woman builds her house. A foolish woman tears hers down with her own hands. Those who follow the right path fear the Lord. Those who take the wrong path despise him. The talk of fools is a rod for their backs, but the words of the wise keep them out of trouble. An empty stable stays clean, but no income comes from an empty stable. A truthful witness does not lie. A false witness breathes lies. A mocker sees wisdom and never finds it, but knowledge comes easy to those with understanding. Stay away from fools, for you won't find knowledge there. The wise look ahead to see what is coming, but fools deceive themselves. Fools make fun of guilt, but the godly acknowledge it for reconciliation. Each heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can fully share its joy. The house of the wicked will perish, but the tent of the godly will flourish. There is a path before each person that seems right, but it ends in death. Laughter can conceal a heavy heart. When the laughter ends, the grief remains. Backsliders get what they deserve. Good people receive their reward. Only simpletons believe everything they are told. The prudent carefully consider their steps. The wise are cautious to avoid anger. Fools plunge ahead with great confidence. Those who are short-tempered do foolish things, and schemers are hated. The simpleton is clothed with folly, but the wise person is crowned with knowledge. Evil people will bow before good people. The wicked will bow at the gates of the godly. The poor are despised even by their neighbors, while the rich may have many friends. It is sin to despise one's neighbor because of those who help the poor. It is sin to despise one's neighbor. Blessed are those who help the poor. If you plot evil, you will be lost. But if you plan good, you will be granted unfailing love and faithfulness. Work brings profit. Mere talk leads to poverty. Wealth is a crown for the wise. The effort of fools is only folly. A truthful witness says lies, but a false witness is a traitor. Those who fear the Lord are secure. He will be a place of refuge for their children. Fear of the Lord is a life-giving fountain. It offers escape from the snares of death. A growing population is a king's glory. A dwindling nation is his doom. Those who control their anger have great understanding. Those with hasty tempers will make mistakes. A relaxed attitude lengthens life. Jealousy rots it away. Those who oppress the poor insult their maker, but those who help the poor honor him. The wicked are crushed by their sins, but the godly have refuge when they die. Wisdom is enshrined in an understanding heart. Wisdom is not found among fools. Godliness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. A king rejoices in servants who know what they are doing. He is angry with those who cause trouble. Proverbs 14. To read through the Bible in a year. Today's verses: Matthew chapter 5, 21 to 48, Exodus 30 to 32, and Proverbs 14. Stay blessed. See you tomorrow.